Week after week, Jerry Jones continues to tell lie after lie to Dallas Cowboys fans and the media worldwide. Jerry claims, I love this football team. I believe in this football team. This team is good. No, Jerry. This football team is far from good. Yet again this week, you told another bold-faced lie. I am Stephen Wyand, and I approve this message. Our Nation Sports Show.
Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up.
From the good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Surprise, guys! A pop-up live edition for a second consecutive day of our Nation Sports Show. Man, oh man, what a great day it's been here. And I'm just so happy today. And what a great week it's been when it comes to sports coming up. Just want to come back on here for a second consecutive day and talk about the NFL coming up this week. And I'm your host again for this week for a pop-up surprise edition of the Sports Show, Stephen Wyand. What is going on, everybody? Here just past these 16 minutes of the top of the 5 o'clock hour for a live at 5 edition of our Nation Sports Show. Again, if you want to follow the Sports Show on Twitter, it is at ON_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, where I am live at the top of the hour of 5 for a pop-up edition of Our Nation Sports Show. It is, of course, YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook at Nation's Corner, and YouTube at The Nation's Corner. And tonight, it is NXT live from the ECW arena going head-to-head against AEW Dynamite. That should be very interesting. And wanted to come on here again tonight and kind of give you guys my thoughts again, some more things on Week 9 from the NFL, because going back to the Monday Night Football game from this past Monday that we touched upon last night, this game was one of the better games of the week and of the season, because nobody would have imagined that Baker Mayfield would be able to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, in a competitive game at Arrowhead Stadium in the pouring rain. And as we all know, elements did play a huge part in this game. And got to give credit to Mayfield and company for hanging in this game, because it was it's not easy the last couple of weeks what the Bucs have gone through. I mean, at one point they were 3-1 in the NFC South and leading their division, and they've lost several games in a row, and now Atlanta has the lead on the NFC South division. And if the Bucs are going to make a run at the NFC South, they're going to have to string some consecutive victories, because they have some winnable games. I mean, they got the freaking Panthers left. They got the Saints, of course. They got the Cowboys, who are very beatable with how bad they've been playing. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Crazy how, like a season can turn around for these teams time and time again. And the Bucs are one of those teams. And going to be interesting to see how the season, goes out for the Bucks the rest of the way. And again, back to this game, it was back and forth. I mean, Mahomes was honest to God, guys. Like, I really think that Patrick Mahomes had his best game of the season this past Monday against the Buccaneers, and throwing for nearly 300 yards and 3 TDs, no interceptions. Baker Mayfield hung in there as well, throwing for almost 300 yards as well, a couple of touchdowns. And if I was the Bucks in this game, like Kevin and I said last night on the show, I would have gone for 2, because if you give Patrick Mahomes, if you give that offense any chance of life, they're going to make you pay. And they did. Because there was a couple of times during that game that Mayfield had the Chiefs on the ropes. And it was crazy because they were making plays and the running game was getting going. The offense was making plays, and no Mike Evans and no Chris Godwin. I mean, you would have thought that the Chiefs were going to roll over this team and beat them badly. But that didn't happen. It was a dogfight. And Kareem Hunt, give him credit for the Chiefs. Their running game's been decimated with injuries, with the likes of Pacheco being out with several weeks of the season and don't know when he's coming back or if he's coming back. But Kareem Hunt came back to the Chiefs, and in 5 consecutive games, he's had 5 touchdowns. And yesterday was his best game. Yesterday, by far, or Monday, was his best game with the Chiefs this year. Had a great game. Kelsey made some plays, 14 plus catches, 100 yards. Kelsey doing Kelsey things finally for the first time this season. And Hopkins made some plays when it mattered the most. The defense, they had their struggles in this game, but the Chiefs ultimately prevailed in overtime. And to that overtime period, when that coin toss happened and Mayfield called tails, he knew when they called heads, the game was over. It was never in doubt. The game was over. And give credit to Mahomes and the Chiefs, for putting up a good game. Same thing goes for the Bucks. They put up a good game, but mainly the credit goes to Baker and the Bucks. I mean, because Kevin said it last night, and I agree. I think Baker Mayfield, in large, outperformed Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Because considering Mayfield has no weapons the last couple of weeks. Godwin's out for the rest of the season, and Mike Evans has been out for the last couple of weeks and will be out for another couple of weeks with the hurt and injured hamstring injury. The Chiefs ended up winning this game, like I said, 30-24 in overtime. Also, as well, I do want to talk about this another game that's been on my mind the last couple of days, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. And if you take my intros that I've done this week seriously, come on. I'm just having fun. With it being election, week, election day Tuesday yesterday, did an intro for that, did another one here again today, last minute. Why not? Why not? Anyways, but back to the Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins once again exposed this defense without Micah Parsons being there. I mean, my goodness. I mean, the Cowboys cannot get to the quarterback. And their run defense, oh dear God, it's abysmal. It is abysmal. Kirk Cousins with Atlanta has looked really, really, really well. It just blows my mind how awful the Cowboys defense has been. I mean, they thought, the media thought that this Cowboys team was going to be the end all be all. We called it here on the sports show. We called it. We said that the Dallas Cowboys were not going to win the NFC East. Myself, Ezra, Joey, and Kevin, all of us said this during our preseason previews for the 24-25 regular season, that the Dallas Cowboys were going to be a team that was not going to be like they were last year. The last couple of years, winning 12 consecutive, 12-5 records. And the fact that Dak Prescott during this game gets injured and Cooper Rush had to come in and sub in to step in and play for him. And Jerry Jones said after the game that Prescott's going to be out for multiple weeks with a hamstring injury as well. So you're the Dallas Cowboys. And oh, by the way, your running back, Ezekiel Elliott, was left behind because he was being disciplined for missing meetings and stuff like that. Blah, 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 blah. All that horse crap. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You got to be out of your mind, Jerry Jones. We have said on this sports show time and time again, that this team is a bunch of frauds, led by you. He said after the game, I believe in this football team. I like where we stand. They're a good football team, and I believe in these guys. But it's unfortunately how bad we've been playing all season long. Jerry, hello, get your head out of your ass. You are old, delusional, and you have a lot of Cowboys fans that believe you time and time again that this team is going to do something when they don't do something. What am I talking about? What have we talked about on this sports show? Time and time again, we had talked about on this show, myself, Ezra, Joey, and Kevin have talked about how bad this Cowboys team has been all season long. And time again, the truth continues to rear its ugly head. This team is so bad, so bad, so bad. And Atlanta once again exposed this Cowboys defense. Fucking pathetic how bad this team is. Pathetic. Another game I want to talk about real quick as well, the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. I touched upon it last night during the show, but I want to touch upon it again because Jared Goff and this Lions team is looking like the end-all be-all team in the NFC after having consecutive victories over the Vikings and now obviously over the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago. And also as well, the Packers in Lambeau, at Lambeau Field, in the pouring rain. Jordan Love did not play good in this game. Multiple interceptions. The defense could not stop anybody. And before any Green Bay fan uses any excuses, oh, the weather, it wasn't good. They couldn't catch any passes because of the pouring rain. Hello? Like Kevin said last night, and I'll say it here as well, the Lions had to play in the same shitty conditions your football team had to play in as well. That did not stop Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Montgomery going in there, and the receivers as well, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta and company, going into your stadium and demolishing you the majority of the game. Yeah, they ended up winning 24-14, but the stats don't lie. The Detroit Lions right now are one of the more complete football teams this year for 2024-25. It is crazy how good this team has been playing all year long. Give credit to Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Lions, and to Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for Detroit, for coming up with some very creative play calls for this Dallas team. And it's very telling because Detroit has more than enough, has proven a lot of doubters wrong, including us. Now, we had our high hopes that this team was going to break through the glass ceiling, and they have so far. They had made a move, obviously, yesterday in the trade deadline to get to Darius Smith to fill that hole with Aiden Hutchinson's injury that took him out during the Cowboys win 47 to 49 or 47 to 9, excuse me. And I think the Lions are going to keep rolling. I think they're playing great. I think they're playing great team football, and I think they're going to continue to march on. And speaking of the Lions, coming up this Sunday night is Sunday Night Football. Now, we gave our score predictions last night, and all of us are picking Detroit. And there's a reason for that. Because the Lions right now are playing way better football than the Texans. And also, the Texans have a lot of depleted injuries on their side of the football. When it comes to how bad this team has been playing the last couple of weeks, the injuries to Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins being out for multiple weeks with injuries, CJ Stroud has not been playing really good football these last couple of weeks. And it's really telling. It's really telling. It's very telling. And if you're the Texans, you got to do something about it, because the schedule for them does not get any easier. And to me, this win for this game for the Texans, it's a must-win situation. Because, again, I mean, they have to beat good teams as well. You have to also beat good teams as well. I mean, I know Green Bay's been struggling the last couple of weeks, but the Texans lost to Green Bay in overtime. They just lost to the Jets last week in one of the funkiest, weirdest games in NFL history. You made Aaron Rodgers look good for once in that second half, when all of first half against the Texans defense, he was horrible. Freaking horrible. So the schedule for the Texans is not going to be getting any light. The AFC South, however, schedule will be easy, but the non-divisional games, those are going to be telling for the Texans. Because it would be kind of hilarious if they suffered the same losing streak in a way that the Jaguars had last year and the Titans did 2 years ago. So that's very telling as well. Also, another game that comes to mind during the week 10 schedule that's coming up this week. Just scrolling down the schedule here. Steelers playing the Commanders in Washington. This game is going to be an interesting one. And the majority of us picked the Steelers to win this game, and Joey is picking the Commanders. And for me, this was a tough one to pick, because the Commanders have been playing really good football. But I want to see Washington beat somebody that is a contender, a potential contender. And speaking of potential contenders, the Pittsburgh Steelers have proved me wrong as well. Because going into the Jets game on Sunday Night Football a few weeks ago, when the Steelers demolished the Jets in that game, 37-15, Russell Wilson was named the starter for the Steelers by Mike Tomlin. And going into that game, I was like, what the hell are you doing putting him at starting quarterback when he hadn't played all season long? You don't take a starting quarterback out and put another quarterback in, because that could potentially screw the chemistry up. But it's done the complete opposite. The Pittsburgh Steelers have played arguably better football with Russell Wilson as the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have scored more points in the last 3 weeks combined, 2 to 3 weeks combined, with the Steelers with Wilson at quarterback. Give them a lot of credit for putting up these numbers. And if I'm Jaden Daniels, that defensive front is not going to be easy to attack, because the Ravens gave Daniels a headache in that game a month ago when the Ravens beat them 30-23. And I think Pittsburgh is going to have a pretty good scheme to stop Jaden Daniels and his Commanders' offense. But the Commanders, I think, are going to put up a valiant effort, and they're going to make this a competitive game, and I think it's going to be a great game. The Eagles played the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. Philadelphia is a very, very shaky team, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts has had his rough spells this year where he's been bad. He's also had his patches during the season where he's been good. Their defense is very shaky at times. A.J. Brown is going to be out again with another injury, so they don't have that many receivers. They still have Devontae Smith and they still have Dallas Goedert. But the Dallas Cowboys on the other end are struggling to stop the run, and that's where Barkley is going to come into play. Because if I am Philadelphia, I am going to run Barkley to the point to where the Cowboys can't even stop him. And the Cowboys are literally in football hell as we speak. Dak Prescott has already thrown 8 interceptions, just as many as he threw 9 last year. And just this team is not playing good. Not playing good at all. And before I get back to the Week 10 games I want to preview, I do want to play a video that we had problems playing last night, but I figured it out here today, and I have Joey's video from last night that he sent me of giving his thoughts on the trade deadline. So before I get back to Week 10's games, I do want to play you Joey's video that he sent me last night. So here's Joey's thoughts, giving his thoughts on the Week 9 NFL 24-25 trade deadline, or the trade deadline for this year's regular season.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Tuesday. For those of y'all who are able to go out and vote, which is pretty much everybody, I hope you're able to go out and make your voices heard. So now we just wait for the results. But I'm not here to talk about the election because, well, this is a sports show. So I'm not going to be able to be on the show tonight, unfortunately. So for those of y'all who were waiting for a update as far as how the 5 of us, and by the 5 of us I mean myself, Steven, Ezra, Kevin, and Hijacker, are doing in our prediction battles, that will now come on next week's show before we do our Week 11 picks. But I just wanted to record this video to give my thoughts on what took place today at the NFL trade deadline. I do have a list of the terms that were agreed on by teams that were able to pull off a deal at the trade deadline. So I'm gonna go over some of the big ones here. I would say the day got started with the Detroit Lions finally finding a replacement for at least the rest of the year after Aiden Hutchinson's injury earlier in the year, getting a name that was very hot on the trade market, that being edge rusher from the Cleveland Browns, Zadarius Smith. Now, Zadarius Smith was definitely one of the big names in the free agent market. And for Detroit to get him, that now makes that front 7 for Detroit even more dangerous. Because Zadarius Smith is a playmaker. He knows how to make plays, and he knows where to make them. But that's not all that Detroit got. They also got a 2026 7th round pick In exchange, the Cleveland Browns got a 5th-round pick for next year's 2025 draft, as well as a 6th-round pick for 2026. Now, this heavily favors Detroit mainly because they were able to get Zadarius Smith. And like I said, Smith is a playmaker. So there's no doubt that he's going to be quickly inserted into that lineup once he gets familiar with the playbook. And now Detroit's defense is going to be even more dangerous. So we'll see how that goes. The Bengals, after losing running back Zach Moss to an unspecified neck injury, they pulled off a deal here at the trade deadline with the Chicago Bears, landing running back Khalil Herbert in exchange for a 2025 7th-round pick. Now, I can see this be a good move for Cincinnati because it's always best to have 2 running backs be active at all times. So, this is definitely a little bit of a plus for Cincinnati. The Baltimore Ravens, they added to their secondary, making a trade with the LA Rams in getting cornerback and one of the most dangerous cornerbacks in the game right now, Tre'Davious White, as well as a 2027 7th-round pick in exchange for a 2026 7th-round pick. Baltimore's defense was already top-notch. So by them adding a cornerback and Tre'Davious White, that is definitely going to be a huge plus for Baltimore. Of course, Dallas Cowboys didn't do anything, hardly, here at the trade deadline. Even though Jerry Jones was saying, oh, well, we're making calls, yada, yada, yada. Well, the only person you were able to get is a almost washed up, has been almost rookie from the Carolina Panthers. The name is wide receiver Jonathan Mingo, as well as a 2025 7th-round pick in exchange for a 2025 4th-round pick. And I just can't help but laugh because Dallas, they just keep digging themselves a hole. And that hole is getting deeper and deeper and deeper by the week. Especially now since their $240 million quarterback, Dak Prescott, is fixing to head to the IR after suffering a hamstring injury during their game this past Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. So, Dallas, I just got one thing to say. Welcome to hell. Welcome to football hell. You are going to be enjoying your stay for quite a while. It don't matter if Michael Parsons is coming back this week or not. It ain't going to happen. You're still going to enjoy your stay. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they made a couple moves. First off, getting wide receiver Mike Williams from the Jets for a 2025 5th-round pick. And then making a deal with the Packers, landing edge rusher Preston Smith in return, giving the Packers a 2025 7th-round pick. Now, Mike Williams and Preston Smith, they are playmakers on both sides of the ball. Mike Williams, of course, being on offense, Preston Smith being on the defense. Pittsburgh, they needed some wide receiver help because George Pickens is obviously the number 1 receiver. And now that they have Mike Williams, he's still getting used to being back on the field after suffering that ACL injury last year. But once he gets back on the field, I'm sure that he'll be able to accompany George Pickens and giving Russell Wilson, or Justin Fields, the top 2 receivers that they need. But the biggest move of the day, and me as a Commanders fan, I am so glad we were able to pull this off. We pretty much made the trade of the day with the New Orleans Saints, giving up a 2025 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a 6th-round pick. And in return, we got a 2025 5th-round pick. And, what was the player's name? Oh, yeah. former All-Pro cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, Adam Peters, Josh Harris, Dan Quinn, whoever pulled this trade off, bravo to you, sir. Bravo. We knew going into this trade deadline that we needed a cornerback because a cornerback is definitely one of the biggest things we needed after our two corners that we got right now, Emmanuel Forbes and rookie Mike Sanderstill, are young. They are not really elite playmakers yet. But now we have a former All-Pro cornerback in Marshawn Lattimore who currently is battling a hamstring injury. But when he is back healthy and on that field for us, there is no doubt in my mind that our secondary is going to look even more unstoppable than what we're already looking like. So I'd say the biggest winner of the day as far as this trade deadline is definitely my Commanders, because we definitely addressed a need that needed to be addressed. So once again, Adam Peters, Josh Harris, Dan Quinn, whoever pulled off this trade, bravo to you, sir. But that is it for my thoughts for the NFL trade deadline. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the show, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to Steven as he does an awesome job like he always does as the host. But yeah, I hate that I couldn't be on this week, but no worries. I will be back next week, ready to roll, ready to talk some more sports. But until then, peace out.
And those were Joey's thoughts on the 2024 NFL trade deadline that took place and ended yesterday. And I did want to touch upon a couple of these trades because two of these trades on the defensive side of the football really stick out to me because getting Tre'Davious White for Baltimore and Marshawn Lattimore for the Commanders are two of the big significant moves that can really boost both of these two teams' defense. I mean, when they are healthy, they're two of the best defensive backs in the NFL, today especially. And again, like Joey touched upon, Zadarius Smith going to the Detroit Lions. I touched upon that briefly as well. I really think that as a veteran player that Smith is, I think he's going to do a lot of good things for this Lions front. And the fact that the Lions have rebounded after losing Hutchinson in the blowout win against the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago, this shows you that this is not the same old Lions. This team is playing good, consistent football. And the Dallas Cowboys, oh boy, them Cowboys. Jerry Jones getting a wide receiver that nobody hardly has ever heard of. I got it, guys. I got it, guys. I got it. I got a receiver that's going to do a lot of good things for our offense. I got Jonathan Mingo. He's going to do a lot of great things for our organization. Please. He doesn't even have a touchdown with the Carolina Panthers when he was there. Come on. And his longest reception was 35 yards. Give me a freaking break. Come on. Get the hell out of here. Oh, God, this Cowboys team gives me so much hope because they give me hope week after week. Just like Hope with Ezra, Joey, and Kevin to continuously come on here and bash the ever-living brain cells out of this damn football team. Thanks to Jerry Jones. Oh, my God. Anyways, yeah, back to this Cowboys and Eagles game. Saquon Barkley, I think, is going to destroy this Cowboys front seven. They can't even stop a running back from a team that's not even great as far as a football team not having a running back. I mean, come on. They would probably make the Tennessee Titans. Oh, that would be hilarious if Tony Pollard was to face this team without him. And he'll crush them too, because Tony Pollard's obviously the best running back that Dallas had when he was there. And obviously Ezekiel Elliott is not the damn answer. And Cooper Rush, I think Cooper Rush, yeah, he had a good stretch a couple years ago when Dak Prescott went out for multiple weeks with injuries. And Cooper Rush won 4 or 5 games in a row. I can't remember the exact record, but he won 4 or 5 starts in a row. And then he gets destroyed by Philadelphia on Sunday Night Football. But Cooper Rush, I think, is not going to do a whole lot with this team because the offensive line is just not playing great. Zach Martin's aging very badly, and he was one of the main reasons why that offensive line unit was so good. He was good at blocking and run blocking and pass protection blocking and all that good stuff. But I really truly think that the Cowboys are going to lose another consecutive game, and it wouldn't surprise me if Philadelphia and all of us yesterday picked Philadelphia to win this game against Dallas on Sunday. I do want to jump ahead real quick to the Dolphins and Titans game that's coming up on Monday night. Not Titans, excuse me. Dolphins and Rams is coming up on Monday Night Football. This to me is an interesting game because the last couple weeks has looked really good. The defense has looked really bad. And they're going against a Rams team that has kind of hit a nice hot streak. Matthew Stafford's had consecutive weeks where he's played really good football. Cooper Kupp is there. Puka Nacua is there. And even despite losing Puka Nacua last week against Seattle in that game that went to overtime, Stafford still found a way to win the game. That's just how, a Grizzly veteran he is, and he's obviously won a Super Bowl with the Rams a couple years ago. And Stafford, as long as he's not throwing interceptions, he can throw the receiver to anybody, and he'll throw a ball if he feels like, hey, I can fit that ball in the triple coverage. He'll throw it. And that's obviously what Johnson did, catching that pass in overtime against Seattle. But I honestly think that the Dolphins are due for a win because they need good fortunes to come their way because the season has been really rough for the Dolphins when Tua went down after week 2 against Buffalo on Thursday Night Football. And just this team is just, they have obviously pieces on the offensive end to do good things. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, excuse me, and Mostert and all them guys. And obviously, Tua, when he is healthy, Tua can do some damage. But it's not up to him to stop other opposing offenses. The Dolphins' defense is very suspect. I think this game is going to be a shootout, and it'll be interesting to see how this game goes because the Dolphins are fighting for their lives to stay alive, and the Rams are obviously fighting to keep neck and neck with the Niners and the Cardinals. And speaking of the Cardinals, who would have thought if you would have told me going into week number 10 this week that the Arizona Cardinals would be 5-4, I would have told you have lost your ever-loving mind. Kyler Murray, give that dude credit. He has played some really good football the last several weeks, not turning the ball over, making a lot of mistakes. The running game led by James Conard. Conard in this running game has been really good. The defense has played really well. The offensive line surprisingly has played very well. And I got to give a lot of credit because the Cardinals have given a lot of teams this year fits in the first 9 weeks. Especially they gave Chicago fits this past Sunday. Good Lord. I mean, Chicago couldn't block anybody from that front 7 of Arizona. They couldn't stop the defensive backs, covering the receivers. I mean, this Bears team looks very depleted. I mean, the Hail Mary loss, like I said last night on the show, that Hail Mary loss really is causing Chicago to eat a lot of crow because, oh my God, Stevens from the Bears last week questioning that reporter, who are you to come after me? After I was supposed to cover, I know I was supposed to cover him, but you didn't stop him, whatever. He made an ass out of himself. And this Bears team is hitting, like I said last night, a bunch of turmoil. They're hitting a rough patch. It's like you're riding down the highway, going 70 miles per hour, and then you hit that god awful traffic and then going 20 miles per hour. I mean, this offense has been very shaky at times. And Caleb Williams has nobody to blame but himself. at times, because there is times he has played like a true rookie. And he has weapons. He has Swift at running back, who is a damn good running back. He has Keenan Allen, a former LA Charger. Obviously, he has DJ Moore. So on and so forth. But this Bears team is very tricky to figure out week after week. 1 minute they're looking really good. They're putting up nearly 25, 30 points. And then the next minute they're scoring 3 field goals and getting shut out from the end zone. So it's really telling to me, because Williams has had his stretches this year where he's thrown interceptions and he's sometimes leading the receiver way too much. But back to Jaden Daniels real quick, folks. Jaden Daniels is not playing like a rookie. He's playing like a pro's pro the last several weeks to start out this season. It is just amazing how Jaden Daniels has been playing such good football the last several weeks. And if you're Chicago, you got to get it together. You got to get it together. And the Bears have a winnable game this week against the Patriots, because Drake May, their quarterback, he has tendencies as well to try to make too many plays. And there's times where he'll turn the ball over and make a lot of rookie mistakes and tries to do too much. And I can't fault him for that. He's a rookie. He's gonna make mistakes like that. But like the majority of us are taking, we took the Bears last night in our picks because we think that the Bears defense is better than the Patriots. Because when their defense is locked in, ready to rock and roll, they can stop people. And it's very telling because, Chicago, to me, their record, they're just barely over 500. They're 4-3. You need to beat the teams that are in front of you. You need to beat the teams that are in front of you. Excuse me, I think I stand correct on that. I believe their record is 4-4. Yep, they're 4-4. 4-4. Jeez, this team is, again, the record says it all. The record says it all. So if you're the Bears, you got to get it together. You got to get it together. And it starts with the Patriots. Starts with the Patriots. Moving on down the schedule here. You got the Bills playing the Colts, and I think Josh Allen and the Bills are going to continue their dominance this week. They look really good. Josh Allen has really limited the turnovers this season. Hasn't had a lot of interceptions thrown this year, and I really look for Allen and Buffalo and company to continue their hot streak. And obviously, the Indianapolis Colts having a 39-year-old starting quarterback in Joe Flacco. Flacco's done some great things when he was younger at his prime, but clearly, obviously, Father Time is undefeated. And Anthony Richardson, I still can't get over that. Anthony Richardson last week quit on this Indianapolis team saying, "Oh, I was so tired, man. I was so tired." Stop. Just stop. Just stop. This Colts team is not going to go far if Richardson is the quarterback still on this team. Because let's say Flacco leaves, after this season. Who the hell's going to be starting for the Colts if Richardson's your only option? Because clearly he doesn't have the heart, the courage, the desire, the as Mick Foley would say, the testicular fortitude to want to work hard, train hard, to do what's right for your team. It doesn't matter what time you show up, in the morning time to prepare for a game, because believe it or not, Jaden Daniels does that already. He shows up, 4 o'clock in the morning every week to prepare for his opponent? What the hell is wrong with you, Anthony Richardson? You come into the NFL as the 4th overall pick. It was a complete bust or success for the Colts. And so far through a year and a half of football, this kid has proved nothing. Nothing. Anthony Richardson is not the answer to this Colts team. Not the answer. And I know Joe Flacco is there for a reason, because as we all know, in the NFL, you need to have a backup quarterback just in case if shit goes awry. If you need to go and turn to your backup quarterback to make sure that you have a plan B, just in case that there is a very bad injury that takes place. Give me a freaking break. Oh, dear God, this Colts team is in disarray. I do want to jump. I know I've been jumping around all over the map with the schedule with this upcoming week and my thoughts on some of these games from last week. But before I get to the Bengals and Raiders game from over the weekend, I do want to talk about the game that's coming up tomorrow night between Cincinnati and Baltimore. This game, to me, like Kevin said several weeks ago, could be another game of the week candidate. Because you got Joe Burrow, you got Lamar Jackson, two of the best young quarterbacks in the National Football League, are going to be performing on a Thursday night football game that, thank God, has two good to decent teams. Oh, if only the Panthers and the Giants game in Germany could be disqualified from even taking place, because that is going to be a horrible football game on Sunday on the 10th. Oh, that is going to be terrible. Going to be terrible. It's going to be the drizzling shits, as a matter of fact. I think Burrow, I think Lamar are going to come out there. They're going to play great. They're both going to have competitive games. I do think Baltimore is going to pull ahead because I think their defense is better. And I think the running game is a lot better because obviously of King Derrick Henry, who's, by the way, also rushed his 100th touchdown over the weekend against the Broncos in a 41-10 victory. Back to the Raiders and the Bengals game. And Joe Burrow, like I said last night, for the second time in his career, threw 5 touchdowns in the game. And it's crazy because none of the touchdowns, like Kevin said last night, none of them were to Jamar Chase. And if he's throwing 5 TDs, you're thinking, he probably threw 1 or 2 to Jamar Chase. That's if you thought that, you'd be incorrect. So give credit to Joe Burrow and to Cincinnati for hanging in there, because it's been a rough stretch for them to start out the season losing, 3 games in a row, especially that game against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders on Monday Night Football back in September. I mean, it's crazy because Cincinnati, once again, when they get punched in the mouth, they rebound. They went on a little mini, winning streak, and they lost a couple games here and there, but they're still hanging there. They're hanging in there. And if I'm Cincinnati, if you beat Baltimore tomorrow night, this right here could give you a huge confidence booster on thinking, hey, if we can hang with these boys when we meet the Chiefs again, or Buffalo again, or Miami again, we can definitely hang with the best of the best. So I'm looking forward to that game tomorrow night between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Vikings go into Jacksonville to take on the struggling Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think that the Vikings once again are going to demolish yet another team with a horrible quarterback and a horrible offensive line, and Jacksonville on both ends of the football is playing pathetic. And the fact that they hung in with Philadelphia on Sunday, losing 28-23, that tells me 2 things. 1, Philadelphia is very suspect, and Jacksonville is lucky if they're playing a defense that's not great. But when they play a defense that's great, 99.9% of the time to get their asses kicked. And I think Minnesota, once again, is going to continue to demolish teams with no quarterbacks that are good enough to stop that defense. The Broncos will face the two-time back-to-back Super Bowl champions, the Chiefs, this Sunday, and I think that the Chiefs are going to once again win this game. They're going to win their 9th consecutive game. And I know you're thinking, well, they got to lose sometimes, Stephen. Yes, that is true. But I think it's going to be to a team that is a contender. That is a major contender. I think that Bo Nix has had his moments where he's been good. I mean, hell, this guy caught a Philly special touchdown, pass, which is mind-boggling that even happened in the first place. Just crazy. Absolutely crazy. I mean, just the Broncos, I got to give them credit too. I mean, they've had stretches where the first couple weeks they were very shaky as well. And Sean Payton has rallied the troops, and Bo Nix has had stretches where he was good and some stretches where he was really, really bad. But I'll give the kid this. He is very athletic when it comes to, running the ball as a quarterback. If he can just get his throwing mechanics down, I think that'll make him a better overall quarterback, obviously, down the line. Obviously, the more years you play in professional sports in general. The Falcons take on the Saints, or as we call them last night, the Aints, because the New Orleans Saints ain't winning football games. Who would have thought that a team that would score over 90 points to start out the 2024 NFL regular season for the past several weeks has absolutely sucked? I mean, the Atlanta Falcons have all the pieces to make this a complete blowout. Kirk Cousins is the starting quarterback for Atlanta, obviously. And I picked Atlanta before the season even started to win the NFC South. The Falcons' offense is going to demolish this Saints team. This Saints team looks horrible. And Dennis Allen was shown the door on Monday. Or Tuesday, excuse me. No, I believe it was Monday, excuse me. Yeah, or hell, it might have been Sunday, because, after all, when you lose to the Panthers 23-22, after you nearly hung 50 points on the damn board against the Panthers, you deserve to be fired. Derek Carr gets paid that massive contract, and what has he done for this team? Not a damn thing. The running game isn't consistent. Alvin Kamara has not produced 100-plus yard games in the last couple of weeks. Chris Olave, God bless him, can't even stay healthy on the football field. Same with Taysom Hill. And Taysom Hill, hell, to me, is a better quarterback than Derek Carr these days, and that's saying something. This Saints team is horrible. Complete horrible. And I will get Atlanta to beat the brakes off this team. San Francisco takes on Tampa Bay. And warning, Christian McCaffrey is back. And I look for San Francisco after having a well-deserved bye. Record 4-4. They needed this break to get Debo healthy, to get Christian McCaffrey back, to get Kittle, back to some strength at least, because he's been banged up, during the season at times, and obviously Debo has, and obviously losing Brandon Ayuk to a torn ACL and MCL obviously is devastating. But if you are Kyle Shanahan, you will use the adversity that your football team has gone through, because obviously when Mason's there, the backup running back that's been starting when he's been there healthy, he's played really good as well for San Francisco and has given them a running game. Oh boy, Run CMC is back. And when Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason, the two-headed monster that is in San Francisco, they are going to be a nightmare for teams if they can both stay healthy. And I look for San Francisco to get back on track and hopefully hope to God that they will get a winning streak going in the next couple of weeks. Again, folks, we are live here for a special surprise edition, a day after Election Day 2024, here on Wednesday, November the 6th, 2024. The top of the hour at 5 o'clock. I started at around 5:15 or so. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and where I am live for a special edition of a back-to-back week of sports show coverage for this week, YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. We are looking forward to having the full crew back here next week with myself, Ezra, Joey, and Kevin being on the show as well, giving their predictions on week number 11 for week 11 in the NFL. And when you look at the grand scheme of this schedule coming up for this week in the NFL, another game that sticks out to me is this Jets and Cardinals game, because the Jets, as we all know, has been a literal dumpster fire all year long. And the Cardinals, yet again, are going to give the Jets fits. And that's why the majority, I believe all of us on the show yesterday picked the Cardinals. As a matter of fact, all of us did pick the Cardinals. And Arizona, again, like I said, has been playing really good football these last several weeks. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to find that fountain of youth anymore after facing this team, because, I mean, Arizona, even though they're not one of the top teams in the NFL, they're going to give this team fits. They really are. And I think that Aaron Rodgers and company are gonna have a hard time moving the ball, because this Cardinals team has looked really good on defense, stopping the Bears offense when they were putting up a lot of points on the board, stopping San Francisco and all of that, and making teams have to work for it. Hell, they made Tua and that offense had to work for getting those 25 points during Tua's first game back after coming back from weeks after concussions. So it's very telling right now with this season for the Jets, because if you are the Jets, you are still within striking distance to make a move, but it has to start here. After beating the Texans last week, 21-13, in one of the wackiest games of the NFL season thus far, you have to start this week as well. You have to string consecutive victories in a row. And Aaron Rodgers, if he can continue that connection with Devontae Adams, if he and Garrett Wilson can continue their connection as well, I think they can do more than enough. And if the running game with Breece Hall can continue to do, can continue to do good, I think that this team can make a move. But the schedule, like I've said, like a broken record almost, it's not gonna get any easier for the Jets. And if the Cardinals beat the Jets, I will not be surprised. And talking about the game last week with the Vikings and the Colts last week from Sunday Night Football, this was kind of an interesting game, because Sam Darnold had one of his worst weeks of the NFL season this year after weeks and weeks and weeks of not turning over the football. He had 2 interceptions in this game. He did not play a clean game at all, and just looked really bad. Really bad. Very telling. Very telling, I must say. Baltimore, like I said, looked really good against the Broncos, and Lamar Jackson, once again, week after week, continues to put up MVP caliber numbers. And it would not surprise me if Lamar Jackson once again wins the MVP for a second consecutive year in a row. And it wouldn't surprise me if Derrick Henry is named the AFC Player of the Year when it comes to, as far as that conference goes, because, or even the Offensive Player of the Year with the NFL Honors Awards coming up at the end of the year before the Super Bowl in the 25. Because Derrick Henry has proved his worthiness to being on this football team. Another game that I want to talk about briefly as well is the Chargers win against the Browns from Sunday. And the Chargers, got to give them credit too, because Jim Harbaugh has made this defense play pretty consistently as well. But if you are the Browns, if you are the stinking Browns, week after week, you continue to suffer the worst luck known to man, because they've had multiple injuries at the quarterback. And Mr. Turnover King himself, Jameis Winston, did his magic on Sunday. 3 interceptions in the game. Shocker, shocker. Even a blind man saw that one coming. Oh my God, this team is so bad. And the Chargers, they're an interesting team because they have moments where they want to be good, and then they have moments where they want to charge it up, like they did against the Cardinals on Monday Night Football last week. And the Chargers should win this game against Tennessee on Sunday, but this is the Chargers we're talking about. This, after all, is the Chargers we are speaking of. And as far as any other thoughts in my head, I do want to talk about the trade deadline again real quick before I get off. I do want to talk about this trade with Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys getting Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo is not the guy you should have traded for. You know who you should have traded for? Mike Williams. Mike Williams went to the Steelers, and the Steelers needed an offensive weapon to spread out the defenses with Russell Wilson and company and help out George Pickens. Congratulations, Jerry Jones. You once again made yourself the ass clown of the season once again. Because week after week, you continue to go on the radio shows and make a mockery out of yourself as the owner and team president of this organization. How can you be in favor of this move? You told the radio station that you clowned a few weeks ago, questioning them, going, "Oh, you have no right to tell us how bad we're playing, blah, 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 or good how we're playing." Yes, they do, you idiot. What are you, living on planet delusional? What do you think, there's life on Mars? Give me a freaking break. It is absolutely stupid to me how constantly, week after week, Jerry Jones continues to put his foot in his mouth. He said yesterday, "Oh, I have a receiver on the way." You bring in Jonathan Mingo? Jonathan Mingo did not catch a single solitary touchdown with the Panthers. There are way better receivers on the market. Way better receivers on the market. Police. And you wonder why I've done 2 consecutive ads of kind of a presidential campaign of mocking this buffoon, this clown that's running this organization straight into the ground for the past nearly 30 years? You're only jealous because, you're only jealous because the team that had success was not your team. It was Johnson's team that led this team to multiple Super Bowls. Not your team, Jerry Jones. You're just jealous that Johnson led this team to multiple Super Bowls. Yeah, you might have been the owner for that. But by far, this is not your... I'm at a loss for words with this guy. This guy is on planet delusional. God. This team is so bad. So bad. Their offensive running game is putrid. Ezekiel Elliott is not the answer. You brought him back because that's the only pass that you have when you had success in the last 8 years was when Ezekiel Elliott was a part of this organization. The reason why you had success is because of Tony Pollard. And now that Tony Pollard is gone, your running game is gone. And I know that there are good Cowboys fans. I know Cowboys fans that don't live on planet delusional, that know that their football team sucks. This team is going to get demolished week after week from these football teams like Philadelphia, with Saquon Barkley, like they did against San Francisco, like they did against Detroit a few weeks ago. They are going to get demolished by every single fucking football team that knows how to pound the rock. It is hilarious how bad this team is at making trades. And speaking of Mike Williams, he goes to Pittsburgh. And congratulations, Mike Tomlin, for making a well-deserved move for your organization. This was a hell of a move, hell of a trade to give even more confidence to this Pittsburgh offense to help out one of the best young receivers in George Pickens. And this gets Mike Williams out of the football hell, the dumpster fire that is the Jets, Jets. Obviously, I touched upon how I thought Xavier White, or Tre'Davious White, excuse me. Tre'Davious White and Zadarius Smith are going to both help out their teams on defense, and obviously Marshawn Lattimore. Those three moves by the Lions, the Commanders, and the Ravens, respectively, are more moves that Jerry Jones has made all season long, even into the offseason. What a clown show. What a circus this team is. It never gets old coming on this show and bashing the ever-living brain cells inside of this football team, because Jerry Jones, year after year, continues to give false hope to Cowboys Nation, saying that this is our year. We're going to go all in to make a great team. We're going to get to places where we haven't been in years. You haven't been to the NFC Championship game since 1995. You haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 95-96 season. This team is trash. All because of Jerry Jones's corruption. He has cast an evil spell over this organization, and to all of you Cowboys fans that know what I'm saying, what Ezra has said, what Joey has said, what Kevin has said on this sports show week after week, we continue will preach the gospel, the football gospel of exposing this organization, all because Jerry Jones is the cancer to this fucking organization. And Dak Prescott said it himself on the sideline, and the cameras caught him reading his lips. He said, and I quote, "We fucking suck," end quote. And Dak Prescott, you are speaking nothing but the truth, my man. Thank God you're not a puppet. You don't fall for the puppet, for the master pulling the strings, and you falling for his words. You know if your team is good. You know if your team is bad. Because unlike Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons on his podcast popped on the microphone and said, "Oh yeah, you know what? And until the fat lady sings on our organization, I think this team can still make a run." Have you bumped your head, Micah Parsons? This team is going nowhere as long as Jerry Jones continues to make shitty moves after shitty moves. And you know what? Mike McCarthy is a part of the problem as well, because he has been calling the offensive plays for this Cowboys team. And Kellen Moore, who was the offensive coordinator for this team last couple of years, was a way better play caller than Mike McCarthy will ever dreaming of being of. Completely hot garbage the Cowboys organization is. I could not think of a better time to come on than today. A second consecutive show for this week is, you know what? I'm in a good freaking mood. Had a great show with you guys yesterday with Kevin yesterday. Had fun picking the scores yesterday, reading out Ezra scores, Joey scores, and Mike scores yesterday. Kevin and I had a great time yesterday. And I figure I'd come on here and be on here for you, with you guys, giving my thoughts on the NFL for week 9. Which happened last week a little bit. Some significant games that took place for me. In week 10, it's coming up. But more importantly, talking about the dumpster fire that is the Dallas Cowboys. Because this team is not going to go far as long as Jerry Jones is the owner and president of this freaking team. Oh, dear God. Again, folks, I am live here today for a special edition of a back-to-back week of our Nation Sports Show. You can follow us on Twitter or X at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and where we are live on most Tuesdays, YouTube.com/Nation Sports Show, and where we are live sometimes on special occasions like we are for 2 consecutive shows this week for the Sports Show. And other than that, you know what? I think I'm done rambling about this football team because you know what? I'm looking forward to next week because Jerry Jones, once again, is going to continue to say something that's going to make me laugh my ass off, make Ezra laugh so hard, make Joey laugh so hard, and make Kevin laugh so hard because time after time, it never gets old clowning this organization. So, Cowboy fans that are still on Planet Delusional, wake up. Wake the hell up. Excuse me. This team is not going to go far at all as long as Jerry Jones is the owner and president of this organization. Like I said on the presidential kind of style campaign intro yesterday, Jerry Jones must step down as team president and owner. And we will continue to say this until the cows come freaking home. You can question your fandom, that has followed you for the past nearly 30 years, hoping and praying that we get a Super Bowl championship ring and join the Pittsburgh Steelers, having number 6 Super Bowl titles, joining the Patriots of having 6 Super Bowl rings in your collection. As long as you continue to make shitty moves in this organization, you will never, ever live to see another Super Bowl championship parade in Dallas. The only championship parade that Dallas will see is if there is a wedding in that city. Yeah, the old saying is true. Everything is big in Texas because Jerry Jones's ego is so huge. Everybody can see it. Everybody can see it, including me, who, yours truly, is as blind as a friggin' bat. I can see through your bullshit, Jerry Jones, and it makes me sick as a football fan because year after year, you continue to waste good talent on this football team. You didn't bring back Tony Pollard. That was your best running back the last couple of years, and you know it. You wait to Dak Prescott to give him the money after Tua Tagovailoa and after several quarterbacks got their max contracts. You wait till the quarterback market goes up. You wait till the wide receiver market goes up because Justin Jefferson got paid a big fat contract. Tyreek Hill got paid a big fat contract. You wait to pay CeeDee Lamb a shit ton of money when the market is reset, and God only knows how much money Micah Parsons is asking to be paid because obviously the defensive side of the football market has been reset as well. And there is no freaking telling that if you lock up these 3 guys, how in the hell are you going to have moves to sign quality football players on this team? Whether it be quality defensive backs, whether it be quality, linebackers to join this team, whether it be a quality wide receiver. Because this receiver core for the Dallas Cowboys has been so bad. CeeDee Lamb is the only wide receiver, as much as we joke on this guy here on the show. We talk about CD money, CD ball, CD way out of the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This receiver core has been playing so bad. And Brandon Cooks all these years has said, I want to go to Dallas. I want to go to Dallas. Jerry Jones was like, we got a deal in place to get Brandon Cooks last year. But the trade deadline came and went, but we didn't get him. But watch out, Dallas. We're going to be getting him. And you did. I'll give you that. But you haven't produced any quality results on the football field. Oh, dear God. No wonder Tony Pollard walked. Because if Jerry Jones isn't going to reach into his deep pockets, oh, by the way, the Dallas Cowboys are worth $9 billion. $1 billion. Worth so much money to make moves. And Jerry Jones does nothing. He continues to lie like politicians. Says, I am here for you, Dallas fans. I am here to be your owner and your president. I will make all the right moves to bring you a reason to believe in this football organization. And for the past nearly 30 years since you fired, Johnson, and you better be glad that Barry won you that last Super Bowl in 95-96. What a complete utter disaster Jerry Jones has been for nearly 30 years with this organization. since they have last won their Super Bowl in 95-96. Give me a freaking break. Oh, dear God. I can continue to bash this football team. It never gets old. Never gets old. Jimmy Johnson was the reason why you won 3 consecutive Super Bowls. You better be glad that Barry Switzer, like I said a few minutes ago, won you that Super Bowl in 95-96. As long as Mike McCarthy continues to call plays for this team's play calling is going to be complete hot garbage. And as long as Jerry Jones continues to make no moves and be lazy as an owner and as a president, because clearly the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, and yes, even the 2-time back-to-back Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, unlike you, Jerry Jones, have made more of an effort to be better on any side of the football field that needs to be addressed. What did the Chiefs do? They brought back Kareem Hunt to fill that void at running back when they lost several running backs. What did they do at wide receiver? Hollywood Brown's been out for multiple weeks since the season started after going down with an injury in the preseason. Rashid Rice is going to be out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. What did the Chiefs do? They brought in a receiver that could do some help for their team, whether you are not, even though I know a lot of people like myself who are not Chiefs fans, but I am a football fan at first. The Chiefs made the necessary move to address a hole in their game, getting DeAndre Hopkins. Meanwhile, you got Jerry Jones over here not doing nothing. The Buffalo Bills, they get Amari Cooper. You had Amari Cooper a couple of years ago on this football team. And what the hell did you do? You traded away Cooper for pennies on the freaking dime. Oh, dear God, this team is so bad. So bad. Because Jerry Jones continues to cash checks with his mouth that his ass can't cash. You know what? I know I said I was done rambling about this football team, but I think I'm done for now. Hell, I'm starting to lose my voice. Because I'm sorry. The facts are the facts, my friends. You can continue to live on planet delusional and believe every single lie that he says like these politicians. Or you can wake the hell up and realize that Jerry Jones needs to leave this organization. Sell this team to an owner that actually gives a shit. And on that note, I am done for this show. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/The Sports Show, YouTube.com/The Sports Show, where we are live on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. With that being said, thank you for tuning in today for 2 consecutive shows this week on the Nation Sports Show. I have been your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand. Also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook.com/Nation's Corner, where they are live on Saturdays at YouTube.com/The Nation's Corner at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. With that being said, I am done for the day. Screw this Cowboys team. You deserve to get all the bad karma that is coming your way. Take care, everybody. Peace.